In my last video, I spoke about the Birdy Titanium. I think it's a super bike. It's a beautiful bike. It's remarkable, incomparable engineering and all that. But despite the gossip on the internet about some specimens apparently available for $10,000 or even $7,000, I have not been able to find anything for less than $20,000, brand new or even used. So this video is going to be about how you can build not so much a replica but an alternative for a whole lot less than $20,000 or $28,000. And also my version is going to be superior to the original Birdy Titanium in several ways. Before I continue, make sure to check out my shop below. If you have my book, you can pretty much create anything you want. This is going to be based on the same principles, but just focusing on the Birdy Titanium and not doing an electric version. So what I'm going to build now is going to be purely human powered, which is also a fun thing to do. Obviously, at first you need a frame. And a frame you can get, either you can get a new frame, you can go to the Pacific website for under $1,800. They are going to sell you a brand new frame. Obviously this frame is quite different. It's very similar but also different from the titanium. You can see that the titanium frame has more bulk. It has this really fat, unique looking top tube, whereas the other one, the aluminum model that is sold by Birdy, is not nearly as fat as the titanium one. And titanium looks really good, especially with this brushed style and how fat that tube is. I do like it. Another difference is that the extremities are significantly upgraded, especially if you look closer. If you look at some of the beautiful metal pieces, like the way the rear dropout attaches, it's a completely different way of doing the dropout. There is internal routing both on the aluminum frame and also on the titanium frame, but you can see that the front suspension is also just two pieces. There's an elegant bend in the front, whereas there is this squarish looking edge that you see on the aluminum frame. And here you see these close up. Obviously the rear dropout looks very different from the aluminum. It's just so much more refined. But at the end of the day, if you look at them from far away, they are not that different as bicycles. I mean, it's basically the same design. Certainly, the titanium looks more sophisticated, but that's not even so much because of the extremities and their design, but because of the metal. You could start either with a new frame or get online and look for a used one. Used frames can be had for as little as $300, believe it or not. I am looking at a $500 frame out of Britain, which is still in good condition. If you buy a used frame, you really are going to replace everything anyway, so you don't really care about whether it's scratched up or not, because I would use a heat gun and just remove all the paint. But so long that you can be certain that you are buying something that works, that there are no bends, especially as the bicycle folds, that nothing has been twisted out of shape, you're in a good spot. Because you can use a heat gun and remove all of this paint. And if you do a good job, then you can brush it up with a machine or by hand, and you can apply several layers of clear coat, and if you polish it carefully, you are going to end up with a very spectacular looking frame, not far from what the titanium looks like. Obviously these are excellent pictures as well. This is quality photography in real life, and you don't see many of these in real life, I can tell you that, especially not in the West. Most of these are sold to the Far East, so in real life it may not even look as shiny as this, but if you remove all the paint and you buff it and you polish it and you put on clear coats, it's going to be close. If you have a new frame, I would probably buy the silver because that's the one that's closest to the titanium version. I would remove the sticker. I did the same thing with my Brompton. I removed the sticker, or if you don't want to remove it, you could, if you want to have a Birdy on it, which is actually similar to the titanium one, then you can make your own sticker, which should be this discreet, very, very slightly different colored gray that you can just barely see. That's why it looks so nice. But in my opinion, just removing the logo, like I have done on my Brompton frame, is going to make a whole world of difference. It's going to make the frame look a whole lot better. Let's look at the frames. If you start with a new frame, it's going to be 1800. So a new frame would be 1800, and I'm looking at the US dollars. I'm calculating this in US dollars. For the used one, I'm going to put down 500, but then you have to buy the clear coat, maybe some tools to do the polishing work. So I would say 600 for a used frame. The next step is going to be to get the drivetrain. And you can see, if you look at the original carefully, this crank, this SLK crank, is actually available from Amazon. It's around $330. And it does not include the chain or the cassette or the derailleur. So I would assume you would have to spend at least as much for those. So if you want a completely brand new drivetrain, which you probably would want even with this one, because this doesn't look all that great, it's probably $700, plus you need a front shifter. So it's going to be closer to $800 for either of these setups, either of these bikes. Now notice that this shifter has an attachment. The titanium frame has a protrusion to which you can attach this front shifter, but you can also do that with the traditional frame. All you need to do is to unscrew this chain stay that you see here. I had that on my Birdy as well. So you see that the chain is being held down by this stick that's just sticking out, but it can be removed. You can unscrew it. This is a detachable component, which was very nice of them to do the way they have done it. And you attach the front shifter to the rear part of this triangle. So next one is suspension. I would say the suspension on the titanium is actually crap. This front suspension is gonna function really well, but it just does not look distinctive compared to the rest of the bike. This all black thing just doesn't stand out, and the rear plastic elastomer is just as useless as it is on the Brompton. So I recommend an upgrade on that, and it's not going to be a cheap job. If you want something really nice and also something that improves the suspension action as well, this is in Singapore dollars. In US dollars, this is about $300. So it's really expensive, but I would go for it because we are still way, way below $20,000 to get the original, and we are getting something that's better than the original. So the next step is the brakes. For brakes, I would recommend an upgrade from mechanic to a hydraulic grip system. And there is a bit of an issue here. Notice that the titanium one has hydraulic disc brakes, which in my opinion are unnecessary. They are heavier, they are clumsier. I have ridden bikes with everything, the mechanical disc, the hydraulic disc brakes, the conventional grip, as well as the hydraulic grip. The hydraulic grip is not as powerful as the hydraulic disc brake, but it is much more powerful than the conventional mechanical brake. So compared to what you see here, you are getting a significant upgrade. The only issue is that in the front, your height is very limited. You don't have much headroom because of the front suspension. So I would recommend just buying one hydraulic brake set for the rear and taking some measurements, looking at how it would fit in the front, because these brakes are just one piece, so you have to have two. So $100 for each. That means $200, and I'm going to put down $200 because even if you're not going to go hydraulic on the front brake, I would still upgrade to the fanciest thing I can get that fits. and that's going to be, it cannot be over what Magura is charging for a top of the line hydraulic grip brake. So I'm going to put down 200 for that. And finally, handlebar and grips. There are some amazing handlebars out there made out of titanium. What Colorplast is charging for this is about 200, I mean, this is about 600 in US dollars, what you see here. 600 US dollars for a brand new, however beautifully designed or whatever, titanium is theft. I have a titanium straight bar on my Brompton. I think I paid 120 for it. And I know if you get online, you can get probably anything you want for like a really nice straight bar for 200. So I'm going to put down just 200 for that. Plus, you have to have grips as well. Now, Amazon sells my favorite Ergon GP5 with the cork, sort of half environmentally friendly edition. You can buy it in all plastic. When I bought mine 6-7 years ago, they did not have the cork, so I have it in all plastic. But if you have a straight bar, this is just so excellent and convenient. You can move your hand, you have a dozen different positions for your hand at least. And if your lower back is really aching or getting tired, then you can move on to the high grip for a few minutes and it's all going to go away. And if you want to go really fast, you want to race somebody, then you just go for a low grip. It's going to give you the same low grip that you would get from the average standard grip. Like $100 for the grip, 200 for the handlebar. I'm going to put down 300. And now seat and seat post. I'm not even going to look up what Colorplast is charging for a seat post. It's probably going to be another $500, $600, $700 for what they have. And they do make beautiful seat posts just for the Birdy. It features their logo. But in any case, I don't think you should be spending more than 200, and that's not going to come from Colorplast. And I would recommend a seat that is not too narrow. If you watched my videos on saddles, you know that I am very keen on not destroying my masculine anatomy with narrow seats. I don't like to sit on my groin, and I don't think any male would want to do that. Even for a female, it is somewhat dangerous. Not as much as for a man who's jackhammering his prostate and his urethra, but it's an issue for women as well. So I would go for something wide, but still kind of sporty, something that goes with the rest of the bike. I just don't see a big leather saddle from Brooks as the best companion to a modernist design like this. This original scene looks like crap. It's really ugly. The one they sell with the titanium is nicer. It is much nicer. Well, we can get a pretty nice seat similar to that. Pretty sporty, pretty flat, and it's a vegan seat. It's made out of rubber and plastic, and it is fairly wide. So your hip bones are going to sit, they're going to be somewhere around here. Not the most comfortable because they really should be in the softest area of the seat. But if you want to have something sporty, then you'll have to make some sacrifices. So you're going to be depending upon how wide your hip bones, how wide your hips are, your seat bones are going to be somewhere probably closer to the edge. But this one you can get for say 130, 150. You get seat posts for 200. So that's 350. And now hold on to your hat because we are looking at the wheels. Colorplast is excellent, beautiful wheel sets, but they start at $2,000. Do you want to really spend $2,000 on wheels, even if they are as nice as this? Well, if you want to play it safe, maybe you'll spend that much. But you can spend half of that money for really nice carbon stuff. And this you can get from eBay and a million other places as well. These are beautiful wheels, and you can buy them in a variety of different treatments, different patterns, different levels of shininess. Some are flat, some are really shiny. I'll probably go with some really shiny, cool looking, glossy black look. And so this would be 800 plus tires and tubes. So it's going to be more like 1,000 for a new set of carbon wheels, which is still really, really nice. And I think we are done. I don't think I've missed anything much. And we have our own version of the titanium. Now, the titanium that they make is the same weight as this aluminum Birdy. So you're going to end up somewhere between 24, 26, 27 pounds depending upon the configuration. But on the other hand, look at their wheels. It's just cheap, plain aluminum wheels, whereas we are going to get lightweight carbon wheels. So we are probably going to end up with something a little bit lighter. Also, they are running hydraulic discs. We are running maybe one hydraulic grip in the rear, a mechanical in the front. So even at that point, we are going to be lighter. I'm not sure if this is titanium, but probably is. I don't know if this part is aluminum or titanium. So in those areas, we're probably going to be a little, well, we have a titanium seat post as well. It's just a steering column that is probably aluminum. But I still suspect that we are going to get away with a somewhat lighter bicycle, a pound or 2 pounds lighter, especially because of the wheels. And so let's look at the final assessment of what I have come up with. As you can see, the used bike would cost us $3,500, and starting with a new frame would get us closer to $5,000. You are definitely getting a cheaper deal if you buy a used frame as your starting point, but both of these bikes cost a tiny fragment of what you would be paying for a brand new Birdy titanium as they are listed on the internet. And in addition to that, it is worth looking at the advantages we are getting. We are getting a superior upgraded suspension system, much better grips than these standard painful round little grips, probably a better seat than the original, and way better wheels as well, and also a lighter braking system. If you wish to go through the process yourself and verify whether I was correct or not, I am putting links below. Make sure to check out the resources. But I think this is a convincing argument that maybe instead of buying a Birdy titanium, you may just want to build one.
I'll be back.